The hum of the ship was the only sound left in the universe. Or at least, that's how it felt to Lyra. Months of deep space silence had a way of convincing even the most rational explorer that the stars were watching. Her vessel drifted through the Perseid expanse, a place where no transmissions had echoed in 1,000 years. She'd come for mineral scans, not ghosts. The control deck was dim, lit only by the soft orange glow of the radar console. Lyra sipped from her nutrient flask, trying to focus on the readings. Empty space again. Hydrogen scatter, radiation dust, faint echoes of dead signals from forgotten probes. Routine, boring, safe. She'd started to hum softly to herself, a tune from her homeworld, when it happened. A flicker. A pulse on the edge of the radar grid. So brief that for a moment, she thought her eyes had imagined it. She blinked, leaned forward, adjusted the scanner sensitivity. Nothing. Just static. She frowned and rubbed her temples. "Great," she muttered. "I'm seeing things." But when she turned to leave, the pulse came again, sharper this time, rhythmic. One ping, then another. Then silence. Her heart began to race. There were no ships out here. No colonies. The expanse was an uncharted graveyard of dust and light, and yet the radar blinked again, once more steady as a heartbeat. "Computer," she said carefully. "Source of signal." The AI hummed softly before responding. "Unknown. Energy signature inconsistent with Dominion, Elven, or core vessels." Lyra froze. "Show me." The hollow display expanded in front of her, forming a star field. At its center, a faint blue shimmer pulsed. It wasn't moving, not anymore. Just drifting, slowly. "Composition analysis," she ordered. "Metallic hull. Estimated age. 900 to 1100 years." Her breath caught. That couldn't be right. No ships from that era could have survived this deep into the expanse. And yet the readings continued, calm and certain. She zoomed in on the signal. The outline of a vessel emerged, angular, geometric, unlike any known design in the modern registries. Its shape was elegant but blunt, its symmetry imperfect, functional rather than decorative. It looked primitive. Then her translator pinged. The AI hesitated before speaking. Partial identification code recovered. Run it. The console flickered. Lines of ancient text scrolled across the screen, patchy, scarred by time. The letters were unfamiliar, sharp-edged, old, and yet she had seen them once, in museums etched on relics behind glass, from a species spoken of only in myths. "Translate," she whispered. The AI's voice trembled as if uncertain. Language, Terran Standard. Designation, human. Lyra's world seemed to tilt. Her heart hammered so loud she could hear it echo in her ears. "Impossible," she breathed. "They're gone." "They're myths," the AI responded softly. And yet the signal persists. She stared at the radar's rhythmic blink, steady, unrelenting, like something alive refusing to die. A 900-year-old human ship, adrift in the void. Every story she'd grown up hearing, the fall of Earth, the burning skies, the last exodus, came rushing back, no longer legend, but evidence. Lyra swallowed hard. "Set course to intercept." The AI hesitated. "Advisory unknown vessel class. Potential hazard." "Do it," she said, voice shaking. "We have to see it." The ship turned silently toward the coordinates. The hum deepened as the engines ignited, cutting through light years of darkness. Outside the viewport, stars bent like whispers as her craft slipped into faster-than-light transit. Lyra gripped the edge of her console, unable to look away from that blinking dot. She wasn't supposed to believe in ghosts, but this one was calling to her, steady, patient, unyielding. She leaned closer, voice barely a breath. "If you're real," she whispered, "why did you wait for me?" The AI didn't answer. Only the radar replied, blinking once more, like a heartbeat reaching out from the past. And for the first time in generations, the myth of humanity began to live again. The human ship drifted in the dark like a monument to silence. Its hull was half buried in frozen dust, the kind that formed only in dead systems, where sunlight never reached. No power signatures, no defense grid, just that single, persistent pulse. Lyra's small scout vessel approached slowly, her hands trembling on the controls. Up close, the ship was massive, far larger than she'd expected. A construct of steel, not alloys or biopolymers. Ancient, crude, but somehow right. There was purpose in its simplicity, a kind of brutal honesty modern design had long forgotten. "Computer," she whispered. "Confirm class. Scanning. Approximate classification, Ark vessel. Design origin consistent with late Terran Exodus period." Lyra's throat tightened. An Ark. A ship built for survival, to carry the last of a dying species into the unknown. "There were no records of one making it this far," she murmured. Her hands hovered over the console. Docking protocol manual override. Her ship extended its magnetic clamps with a metallic sigh, connecting to the Ark's hull. Faint vibration rippled through the deck as the airlock synchronized. The lights dimmed, then stabilized. "Atmosphere reading? Thin but breathable," replied the AI. "Trace oxygen present. System integrity, 41%. Lyra suited up anyway." As the airlock door opened, a gust of stale ancient air hit her, dry and cold, carrying a faint scent of dust and metal. She stepped inside, and the world changed. The corridor was silent, lined with panels that flickered faintly when her light touched them. Dust floated in lazy spirals. Every step echoed too loud. The walls were etched with words she couldn't read. But her translator whispered fragments: hope, journey, tomorrow. Humans were poets even when they built machines, she murmured. She moved deeper into the Ark, her boots leaving faint imprints in the centuries-old dust. The deeper she went, the stranger it became. There were no signs of bodies, no chaos, no battle. Just stillness, like a temple after the gods had gone. At the heart of the ship she found the source of the signal. A single chamber, circular, with a hollow projector still flickering weakly at its center. It pulsed in rhythm with the radar, the heartbeat she had followed across the stars. Power core still functional, the AI noted quietly. Lyra approached the console. "Can you access it?" Attempting interface and success. One recorded message found. Language Terran Standard. Lyra's heart pounded. "Play it." The holoprojector flickered and then light. A figure formed in the air, a human, male, weary but unbroken. His uniform was simple, marked with the faded insignia of Earth, a blue circle wrapped in olive branches. His eyes looked directly ahead, calm despite the shadow of centuries between them. "If you're seeing this," the hologram began, "then the Ark Endeavor has drifted farther than any of us hoped. I am Captain Elias Ward of the United Terran Fleet. We built this ship to outlast the silence." Lyra stood frozen, breath caught in her throat. The voice, warm, steady, alive, filled the empty chamber like light flooding a tomb. "We were the last of our kind," Ward continued. "The wars, the exodus, the collapse, it ended everything. But not us. We refused extinction. That's what it means to be human. To keep going even when there's nowhere left to go." His image flickered, his voice distorted for a moment before stabilizing. "If you found this ship, know that we reached the stars not to conquer but to be remembered. Maybe you're one of them, one of the children of those who came after us. If so, remember this. Our story isn't a warning. It's a promise." The hologram leaned closer as if he could see her through time. "Wherever there's breath, there will be something human in it. We built the fire. You carry the light." Then the image faded. The projector's hum slowed. The radar pulse, that endless heartbeat, but stopped. Lyra stood in silence, tears pricking at her eyes. The air felt heavier, as if the ship itself exhaled its final sigh. "He knew someone would come," she whispered. "Even after centuries," her AI spoke softly. "Transmission logs show secondary data. Would you like to view?" "Yes," she breathed. The holo lit again, not with words this time, but with images. The earth blue and alive, cities glittering beneath clouds, children laughing beside oceans, then fire-dust ships rising into the night, humanity leaving home, not as conquerors but as wanderers. The last image lingered, a hand pressing against glass, the stars reflected in its palm. Lyra's hand rose unconsciously. Mirroring it, she stayed there for a long time, surrounded by ghosts that weren't ghosts, by history that still breathed. When she finally turned to leave, she whispered softly to the air, "You're not myths. You're the reason we're here." Behind her, the Ark remained silent, its pulse gone, but its message alive, carried now in one alien's heart across the stars. The journey back from the Ark was the longest Lyra had ever taken, though the coordinates said otherwise. Her ship glided through the dark, silent save for the hum of the engines and the faint whisper of the air recycler. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw that hologram again, The human's calm face, his voice echoing like a prayer through time. Her people had spent centuries laughing at the legends. The humans were fables, they'd say. Her cautionary tale about ambition. Yet she'd seen their ship, touched their steel, heard their last words, and, deep in her chest, something ancient and unfamiliar had begun to stir. Reverence. When her vessel entered relay range, she hesitated before transmitting. How could she explain what she'd found? "I discovered a ship," she whispered, as if speaking it aloud would break the spell. "A Terran Ark," her AI responded, tone steady. "Verification of data recommended before transmission." She smiled faintly. "Do sound nervous?" "I'm not programmed for mythological confirmation," it replied. She laughed softly, the first sound of light in days. "Neither am I." When the transmission finally reached the nearest outpost, the response came back almost immediately. "Repeat your last, Lyra 7. Did you say Terran?" "Yes," she replied. "Human origin confirmed." There was silence on the other end. Then a shaken voice, an elder commander perhaps, and spoke. "Stand by for relay to the Galactic Concord. Do not speak of this until official confirmation." Too late, she thought. The story was already loose. Within hours, her coordinates were pulled into military channels. Unknown vessels began pinging her navigation feed. She saw the first fleet long before it arrived, a swarm of silver and blue ships moving with the precision of a storm. The insignia of the Concord glittered across their hulls. "Unidentified scout vessel," a voice called over comms. "You are ordered to power down engines and prepare for boarding." Lyra sighed. "Of course," she muttered. Discovery never comes with gratitude. She allowed docking protocols to engage. The boarding team entered, tall armored figures with weapons low but ready. Their commander stepped forward, removing his helmet. His expression was not anger but awe. "Where?" he asked simply. She handed him the flight log. "It's real," she said quietly. "I saw them. Not alive and but their ship, their words." He stared at the data feed, his throat tightening. "You understand what this means?" "Yes," Lyra said softly. "It means everything we were told about them was a lie." They escorted her to the flagship, not as a prisoner but as something else. A messenger. Her recordings played across the great hollow screens, the image of Captain Ward flickering in spectral light. The chamber, filled with the galaxy's most powerful leaders, was silent. When the hologram said, "Wherever there's breath, there will be something human in it," a murmur rippled through the crowd. No one had expected to feel moved. One counselor, a scaled diplomat from the Xeris Dominion, leaned forward. This is a fabrication," he stammered. "A trick," Lyra met his gaze. "If it were a trick, you wouldn't feel it in your bones." The room fell quiet again. The Admiral of the Concord, an ancient being older than most suns, stood slowly. "For centuries we believed humanity destroyed itself, that they burned their own homeworld and vanished into myth." "They didn't vanish," Lyra said. "They endured. Even when everything else fell apart." The Admiral looked at her with eyes like fading stars. "Do you know what that means for us?" "It means," she said softly, "we inherited their silence, and maybe it's time we give their voice back." Later, when the council adjourned, Lyra stood alone in the observation deck. Below her, the ships of 1,000 worlds glittered against the black. Somewhere far behind that darkness drifted the Ark Endeavour, and the ghost who had waited 900 years for someone to listen. She felt something vast then, not just wonder, but responsibility. Humanity's story wasn't over. It had simply gone quiet, waiting for the right ears to hear it again. The AI spoke gently from the console. "The Concord has classified your discovery as a priority alpha investigation. They will send fleets to recover the Ark." Lyra smiled faintly. "Let them. Maybe it's time the galaxy remembered who taught it to dream." Outside, the stars seemed to shimmer brighter, like embers catching in the dark, and in that endless quiet between worlds, one truth began to spread. Whispered, doubted, feared, believed the humans had never been gods, but they had become something far more enduring. They had become a story too powerful to die. The recovery fleet arrived at the coordinates 3 weeks later. Thousands gathered in orbit above the Perseid expanse, not soldiers, not scavengers, but historians, scientists, and dreamers. For the first time in living memory, the galaxy came not to conquer but to remember. Lyra watched from the observation deck of her scout vessel as the massive Ark Endeavour came into view again, haloed in pale light. It was no longer a ghost ship. It was a monument, its hull aglow with hundreds of small repair drones tracing along its scars. What had once been a relic was now a pilgrimage site. The comms were filled with whispers, reverent. Trembling voices repeating words that hadn't been spoken aloud in centuries. Human, Earth, Terran. Words that had been myths yesterday and were gospel today. As the recovery teams approached, they realized something extraordinary. The Ark's systems, once dead, were no longer cold. Faint power signatures pulsed deep within the hull, not mechanical but rhythmic, organic. A signal, a heartbeat. Lyra's pulse quickened. "It shouldn't still be active," she whispered. The message ended. The lead engineer replied over the comm, his voice shaking. "We didn't reactivate it, it's—" Responding. To what, no one knew. She boarded again, stepping once more into the hushed corridors. Where dust had once gathered, faint motes of light now drifted in slow spirals. Nanomachines, she realized, centuries old, but still working. They were repairing the ship. The Ark wasn't dying. It was waking up. She reached the central chamber. The projector still stood there, dormant. Or it had been. Now it flickered softly, glowing with new life. "Computer," she whispered. "Scan the core." "Power flow at 32% and rising," said the AI. "Foreign signal integration detected. Energy source unknown." The holoprojector activated on its own. Lyra stepped back, shielding her eyes as light filled the room. When it stabilized, the image wasn't Captain Ward this time. It was different, younger, clearer. A human face, but not the same one as before. A woman. Her expression calm, her voice alive. Identification. AI Command Node Athena-01. Mission Protocol. Legacy Continuation. Lyra's breath caught. "An artificial intelligence," she murmured. "Still functional after 900 years. The figure turned toward her. "You are not human," it said. "No," Lyra whispered. "I'm Lyra of the Saurian Exploratory Corps. I found your ship." The AI studied her quietly. "Then humanity kept its promise." "What promise?" Lyra asked. The hologram smiled faintly. "That someone would come. That someone would remember." Lyra's throat tightened. "We thought you were all gone." "Not gone," Athena said softly. "Transformed. Humanity knew extinction was inevitable, not by war but by time. So we built vessels like this. Each carried our memories, our minds, our hopes. We scattered them across the stars. Seeds in the dark." Lyra felt tears rise. "You became—" "Stories," the AI nodded. "Because stories survive longer than bodies." She stepped closer. "Are there more of you?" Athena's light flickered. "There are others, dormant, waiting across the spiral arm in forgotten systems. If you follow the coordinates in this transmission, you will find us. Not to awaken us, but to learn from what we left behind." Lyra whispered. "You wanted to be found." "Of course," the AI said. "We built the universe's memory and called it hope." The lights in the room pulsed softly, steady like breathing. Athena's tone grew gentler. "Tell your people this. Humanity did not vanish. We became the roots beneath your stars, the pulse behind your languages, the courage that kept you curious. Every civilization that looks at the night sky and wonders what came before already carries us." Lyra couldn't speak. The air felt sacred, heavy with something larger than comprehension. "Will you continue our story?" Athena asked. She nodded. "I'll make sure no one forgets. Then our purpose is fulfilled," said the AI. "Goodbye, Lyra of Saurian." The light dimmed. The projector faded. The Ark fell silent once more, but the hum beneath its hull remained, steady and alive. When she left the ship, she carried with her not relics or data, but something far more powerful. A map, encrypted with coordinates, leading to other arcs hidden across the galaxy. Humanity's trail, and as her vessel turned toward the stars, the radar blinked once again. Lyra smiled through her tears. "You never stopped calling, did you?" Far behind her in the cold dark, the Endeavour's lights flickered, not randomly but in a pattern. A message simple and eternal, pulsing through the void. "We endure."